Thank you very much, Vladimir Arkadyevich. I will try to give you an insight of what is happening and what it should be like. We have been following the development of shipbuilding companies in Korea, which have been working in that regime for 7 to 8 years and going through different stages of development, from spiking revenue to bankruptcy. We wouldn't like to follow that example, of course. So there are quite a number of interesting markets that we are facing. That is India. The Indian market, of course, will capture our imagination in the coming years as well. So I would like to name two specific elements which are important for the understanding of what we are discussing today at the panel. It might sound a bit bold, but I'd like to say that there are a number of branches of industry in Korea where the government should regulate more strictly, should have a more stringent regulation policy. I'll bring forward a particular example. If we go back to what you were saying about Korea, the vertical integration of the structure realized in the country allowed to make the projects more or less viable, but it had not transpired in this country. So going back to the well-known Soviet measure, the intra-branch industrial balance might be the way to follow. We have a great potential in the Far East. Countries are fighting for their share of the, shall we say, marine market. So 400 kilometers from here to the south, if our colleagues have reached a particular level of success, we may follow suit. Our Korean partners are working in the sphere of localization, in monitoring of know-how by the state, in formulating the state order for particular produce and services. So when we start to decompose a particular order, what we have left on the plate is just a few segments. So it's important to reach a balance in order to understand how we are going to evolve in the future. The localization instrument is of prime importance. We have discussed it with our shipbuilding partners. It's important to find a standardized approach for the shipbuilding industry to get access to the suppliers, and Russian companies will receive the chance to increase their market. So regulation is of prime importance here. And the most important thing, of course, is human resources. Vladimir Arkadyevich was saying in his speech that the most important challenge that we are facing here in the Far East is that we have to automate the production lines in order to reach high quality of production. And of course, there are a number of very good examples in that sphere and in our corporation and in our education system, where we had vocational schools training personnel for the performance of such tasks. It's difficult to have a breakthrough in this area. as far as our assets are concerned, the assets which we are going to manage are Amurski's shipbuilding company and the Khabarovsky shipbuilding company, where we are going to build a compact wharf on the allocated plot of land, which will possibly become a TAD or an industrial park in the future. Each of these territories has great potential, and above all, they have the necessary human resources, the people who still remember how to work on a highly qualitative level in this area. The other important thing that I wanted to note, that this would possibly be the most important task in the Far East. And together with our colleagues from Korea and other countries in collaboration in certain projects, it's important to note that we can achieve high results in the Far East. Alexei Lvovich, when you were working in the ministry and on the topics of accession to WTO, you have been working on some of the instruments of regulation. And what do you feel? What do you think? How can the country maneuver in such difficult position and such difficult situation? Well, we have worked on the accession to WTO, but we were not the drivers of this process. The Ministry of Economic Development, of course, was the driver of this accession. But I'd like to bring the forwarding example. In the U.S., the U.S. is the main sponsor of the World Trade Organization, and they're working in accordance with the Jones Act. The Jones Act is a document directly forbidding to use ships, vessels transporting natural wealth or a strategic wealth on vessels without the American flag. So if you want to buy the most expensive vessel, this vessel will be constructed on the wharves of the U.S. But the state has done everything in its power. I mean, the U.S. government has done everything within its power in order to protect its industry in accordance with the above-mentioned act. So if we look quite openly at our own interests, the interests of our country, because the situation in the 90s, as I remember it, when Russia has just begun the process of accession to WTO, experienced quite a number of difficulties. And there was one phrase that I heard when I started working in this area, which was phrased in the following way: those Russians still believe in free trade. Well, actually, I would like to find a partner in that respect.